Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Added Time, the podcast that brings you up to date with all the talking points in women's football. A huge FA Cup weekend to reflect back on, and some controversial decisions in the Champions League as well. Some I'm not sure I'll ever be over, but deep breaths, Abbie, and on we go. I'm your host, Abbie McCarthy, and alongside me, as ever, are the brilliant Fran Kirby and Bethany England. Hello to you both.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Did you manage to sneak in a couple of Easter eggs this weekend? Are you allowed to do that? Just a couple?
I mean, I've eaten a couple of eggs before Easter, but I've not actually had any this weekend. But I'll probably have one
I was
tonight.
given a cream egg at the game, which I did demolish on the bus.
Little cream egg to celebrate. Let's start on that high. Brighton's epic 2-0 win over Arsenal in the quarter-final of the FA Cup. Brighton, it's no secret, we're definitely going into that as the underdogs, but what a convincing win on the day. Helped by some Fran Kirby magic, of course. 2 assists and a player of the match trophy for good measure. But Fran, you must be so buzzing and so proud of your team.
Yeah, it was amazing actually, because I felt going into the game, you don't really ever know where you're at as a team against, the top four, really. We had a good feeling going into it, and obviously they had a midweek game. We knew they maybe were a little bit fatigued, a little bit tired, that we could maybe profit off that. But I think from minute one, we set the tone. I think we went there, we warmed up. The pitch was not great, to be honest. It was really bobbly. It didn't suit either team in the way that they wanted to play, but I think we adapted to it better in terms of our game plan, and we didn't try to do anything silly. And I think once we kind of adapted to that, we actually played some really, really nice football, and we were aggressive. We didn't really give them a second to breathe. And, we came in at half time and we were probably they had a really big chance in the first half, and it came off us falling asleep. And I think when you watch it, it's an incredible save by Chi. She's, the saves that she is making at the moment, it's really, really special. And she's keeping us in games as well. So I think, a massive shout out to her for the saves that she did do. But yeah, no, I just think we deserved it. I think sometimes you can play against a top four team and maybe do a little bit of a smash and grab where you kind of get backs against the wall. You manage to get a draw, you manage to nick a win or something. But I actually think throughout the whole game, of course, towards the end of the game, latter stages, 85th minute, they obviously were building their momentum and coming onto us a little bit because we were obviously sitting back trying to protect the lead. And that's always going to happen. But no, I felt that we really, really deserved it. And I felt everyone gave a really, really solid account. And I think it was a whole team performance. I think it wasn't a case of, obviously Chi doing amazing things, Caitlin scoring, Maddie scoring a fantastic goal. But I felt from back to front in terms of our aggressiveness, the way we played, the way we pressed, it was an ultimate team performance, I would say. And I'm really, really proud of the girls and really proud to have been able to play a part in that game.
Yeah, like you say, your goalkeeper, another great game from the Dozy, couple of excellent stops. That Madison Haley finish in particular, just class.
Yeah, she is a huge talent. She's someone who I've really enjoyed playing alongside. She's so strong. She's so strong and powerful, and defenders try and get the ball off her, and sometimes they have to really kind of hack her down to get it off her. She's a real powerhouse, and yeah, I mean it's a fantastic finish. And look, Maddie is someone who is a very good finisher. If she was to do it more consistently in terms of taking them opportunities, I think sometimes it's the same for all of us. We get in good positions, but we maybe don't pull the trigger. We maybe try and take an extra touch. Whereas I think when we understood what the pitch was like, she just knew in that moment she had to take a shot. Otherwise, it might have come off her shin and gone out for a goal kick or something like that. It just wasn't the game for that. So no, it was a fantastic finish, and I think she had a really, really good, solid game as well with her strength and her power and the way that she was just able to kind of, bully people, to be honest, is what she's really, really good at.
Beth, we were mostly fangirling, weren't we, in our group chat? Fran Kirby, of course, she pulls out this sort of performance. It's just what she does, isn't it?
Yeah, not wrong. I think it's one of them where big players step up in big moments, and you did that, Franny. So flowers to you because you were phenomenal. And even just the weight of the pass, obviously you got the assist with the corner as well.
Corner taken now.
I know. I was going to say, well, we don't have you in the box for your height, do they? but you can put a ball on a plate for everyone else. So honestly, that's exactly where I'd want you. And I think, do you know what I loved about the performance for me was you guys scored the first goal, and it was like everyone was buzzing. It's like, right, we're 1-0 up. Like, you were in the face, like you said, you controlled the game, and it almost felt like Arsenal were chasing the tail a little bit in the game, trying to find a bit of magic. But they did look super fatigued, like watching it. But then what I liked about the second goal is that it was almost a shock. And it's like, oh my God, have we actually just gone 2-0 up against Arsenal? Like, are we in a dream? And I think that made it feel more like wholesome, because you know the threats Arsenal pose. Obviously, they brought Alyssa in like the 60, 65 minutes thinking, okay, here we are, we're going to put on the big guns, like expecting her to do bits. And I think even there was a clip going around of obviously Alyssa pushing someone, looking a little bit rattled, like you could see the frustrations kicking in. But the celebrations after that second goal were the most like heartwarming thing for me, because like, again, you know you can compete with these teams, but when you do actually get in front, and it is a bit of a shock, it's like, oh my God, like, what are we going to do? And as you said, you took on wave and wave of attack towards the last 10 minutes, and fair play to you. I'd argue, I know obviously you've got to score to win, but I'd argue your keeper won you the game to an extent. But I think credit to you, you didn't look scared. You went out and gave them a hell of a game and showed exactly why you should be the team in the semi-final, because you look at the game as a whole and you guys certainly deserved it a lot more. So well done.
Yeah, the FA Cup is not the FA Cup without a big upset, is it? That's
Honestly.
just what it is. We love
Yeah.
to see it. But a pretty terrible weekend for Arsenal fans. Obviously, the Arsenal men's team crash out of the FA Cup, getting beaten by Southampton. Then Brighton caused this upset that we've been talking about to see the women's side also exit the competition. But not all bad for Arsenal, of course. They are through to the semi-finals of the Women's Champions League after the second leg of the tie against Chelsea. But what a cagey, chaotic game this was. We've somehow got to try and talk about this. That last 10 minutes, especially, I was stressed. Obviously, we heard some of Fran's thoughts on commentary. Myself and Beth were very active in the group chat. Beth, share with our listeners what was your assessment of this bonkers game?
I don't know if we've got long enough to film the podcast, to be honest. I feel like, I mean, I'm gonna have to go back through the group chat of all the things. Oh, it was just chaos, wasn't it? Like that end part, I think. Obviously, a great finish from Nuskin. Sam's done wonderful down the left hand side and got that ball in. But like, you just think of the chances that Chelsea had. Like, Chelsea came out that first 15, 20 minutes. I was like, oh, they're feeling this. They're looking like Chelsea, like, oh, they're going to bring it. But they couldn't get the finish that they needed whilst having momentum. And then Arsenal managed to control that really well, I thought. Like, they managed to hold them off, found their way back into the game. I thought, I mean, Alessia Russo was just on another level that game. I felt like she was just on fire. But I felt like Chelsea really had chances. Like, obviously, you got Alyssa Thompson's big chance in the first half. I feel like there was so many opportunities where I'm like, okay, these are moments where they have to score now, because, you know, before, like, when Arsenal won the Champions League, before, they took on wave and wave of attack from Barcelona, but they still managed to see out the game. And I'm thinking, you need to get one soon before Arsenal then get ahead of the game. And obviously Black Sinias, I thought, again, caused a lot of problems with her pacing behind, and it allowed Alessia to roam, as we've spoke about so much on this podcast, in that 10 role, just dictating play in there, being the feeder. I felt like the goal came obviously too late. I was stressed watching it for you as well. Like, I just didn't know which way it was going to go. And yeah, I honestly thought Chelsea could have taken it, and they did have chances, but then I felt equally Arsenal had some huge chances they also lost. And if Arsenal would have taken the chances they had, Chelsea wouldn't have even seen any sight of any chance of getting it back into the game. So it was like 1,000 things going off in one game, and you just weren't really sure which way it was going to flip. But the later the game went on, I'm thinking, can Chelsea really pull back 2 goals? They obviously got 1, but by that point it was far too late and a mountain to climb. But I think they were given a lifeline when obviously Black Sinias' goal was ruled out. And I'm just like, in fact, I even text that in the group chat, lifeline. Next minute on the TV, Fran's like, that was a lifeline. I was like, we know each other too well. But yeah, I do think that had that have counted, I don't think Chelsea would have probably been able to scrape back a goal at all. I feel like Arsenal would have just banked up. Obviously, they brought Kadina on and literally almost went into a back five, but then they still conceded with an extra player. So it's just like, it was just a bit of a madness. Obviously, a 1-0 win on the night for Chelsea, but wasn't enough overall. And I mean, look, I think Arsenal did more than enough in the first and the second leg to go through. I just don't think Chelsea did enough in the first leg. Controversy of the disallowed goal, granted, but I don't think they did enough to finish their chances to warrant going through.
I mean, the decision that got me so fuming, and lots of Chelsea fans, was how on earth did Katie McCabe not get a red card? You can see when you play it back that she's pulling Alyssa Thompson's hair. I mean, I don't want to go all Sonia and get it up on my phone and be like, look, this happened, but it just seems ridiculous. And obviously there was that decision in the first leg as well where they disregarded Berman's goal because of a push that you couldn't really see when you watch that back as well. You know, of course Chelsea fans are going to feel hard done by. Two pretty disgraceful decisions on a big occasion. What's your stance on this, Fran? You were there. I don't know, what your view was.
I mean, look, it's a red card. It's a red card. I think it's crazy that it wasn't given as a foul.
Oh,
it actually wasn't even given as a foul. And then obviously they didn't look on it on VAR. So, like, and I said on commentary, I was kind of saying, like, I don't think any player in the women's game, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Beth, I don't think any women's in the women's game actively goes to pull someone's hair. I don't think anyone would go in the moment saying, I'm going to yank this girl's hair down. I just don't think anyone would think it. But I think as soon as she grabs, she can feel hair. You feel the difference between hair and shirt. Then you have to let go. You can't continue the motion to pull when you can feel that it's hair. So on the flip side, I don't think she's done it to grab her hair, but I don't think she's done anything to pull away from tugging her hair. So it's a red card. And I actually think as well in the first half, Katie McCabe did another shirt pull in the first half, which actually she should have been booked for. But I think because it was so early on the game, it didn't really stop any counterattack or whatever. But I think as soon as you grab someone's shirt, you're actively doing something that is restricting that player on purpose. That's on purpose. So I think even if you're going to give her a yellow card for the second one, it's 2 yellow cards and it's probably a sending off. Would it have made a difference in the game towards the latter stages? I don't know. We don't know. In terms of maybe if they had got a foul, Katie McCabe would have been sent off. They would have been one less in the zone for the free kick, for example. But we don't know. My thing is more so, if it's a straight red card, which it is, she would miss the semi-final against Lyon, which is a big miss for Arsenal in terms of her at that left-back position. So if I'm Lyon, I'm probably a bit gutted as well that she didn't get red carded in that. Looking at it, if I was a Chelsea fan, I'm actually probably more aggrieved that the goal was disallowed in the first game because that's actually a goal. And you've actually got one on the board and you've got one kind of going into the next game. So I completely understand. And by the way, I completely understand Sonia's emotions towards it because obviously she stood right in front of it. And what I don't understand is if the referee doesn't see it, okay, that can happen. The fourth official is stood right next to where it happened.
Right
it
there.
Happened.
Yeah.
She's right there. So for me, it's disgraceful that no one has communicated to the ref and the VAR. I mean, there's no point in having them if they're not going to do anything about that. Like, then there's absolutely no point. And I'm a big advocate for VAR in the women's game. I think we need it, but it needs to be used in the right way and used correctly and used by people who know what they're looking for and what they're looking at. Because I don't think any ref is going to see that hair pull. Well, I mean, obviously they did because it happened, and think that it's not a red card. So, I mean, like I said, I don't know if it would have made a massive impact in the game. And I do agree with Beth. I think Chelsea had the bigger chances on the night to get goals. I don't think they controlled the game apart from the first 15 minutes. I don't think they had control. I think Arsenal looked very settled in the way that they were playing. They were sitting off Chelsea. And I think if Chelsea had scored earlier, would Arsenal gone in? Arsenal were in second gear in the Stamford Bridge game, in my opinion. And it wasn't until the game started opening up that Arsenal got the opportunities in behind, like Beth said, and they should have also had goals. So it wasn't the case that, Chelsea had the opportunity. Arsenal also could have put the game to bed a bit earlier as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a red card. It's a goal for Berman. I think the goal changes the game more than the red card does for Chelsea in this tie. But I agree with Beth. If you don't take the chances, you haven't done enough to go through. And I think Sonia said that as well, in terms of they need to be more clinical. They need to take their chances when they get them. And ultimately, that's what's cost Chelsea, I think, in terms of you can go through a game having no control of the game and win the game because you take big chances. And everyone's happy about that. Everyone will take that. But you can't go through the game where you only have a 20-minute spell in the first game, 15-minute spell in the second game, and you miss your chances. Then you're asking for trouble a little bit. But I mean, watching it being in the stadium, yeah, it was absolutely crazy, especially when obviously that hair pull happened. You could see then it all got a little bit rowdy after that.
It was very rowdy in the stands where I was, but I won't repeat what was being said, and we're going to move on. So it's Arsenal going further into the Champions League. Could they win it back to back? Potentially. So the last 4 teams in the competition now are Barcelona, Bayern, Lyon, and of course Arsenal. Very quick predictions from you two. Who do you see lifting that trophy at this stage?
I think if Barca had played someone else other than Madrid, I would probably back Barca. But Barca know 100% that they can beat Madrid the way that they did. So I don't think we saw really a fair game of football to see where Barca are at. But Barca, I mean, are incredible. We know that they're incredible. So I'm not discounting what they do. I think we saw a resilience from Lyon that probably they've not had to really do before, in terms of being 1 goal down and having to come back. Bayern look good. I think Bayern look solid, especially when they transition and go to attack. Arsenal have a tough few weeks coming up after, in terms of they have a game Sunday, game Wednesday, game Sunday, game Wednesday, game Sunday. So that's going to maybe play into a part in terms of how they approach. I mean, I know I said at the beginning, but with Barca, but I just can't see Barca throwing it away this year. I just can't see it. And, you know, I see that Bonmati is slowly starting to come back. So getting her back maybe at a pivotal time for them is going to be really, really important. So I'm going to go with Barca.
Okay, Barca, lock it in. Beth, what's your prediction?
I think I agree with Fran on a lot of her points. I think I would love for an English club, Arsenal, to obviously, it does better for everyone if an English club wins it. But I do think, having lost Leah, they've lost Steph Catley, I think there's a few too many injuries in the team that are probably weakening them going into such a big run of tough games. So I'd love for them to prove me wrong. Bayern, as you said, their transition looks phenomenal, but again, they can concede. So I'm thinking again, defensively, are they able to hold off a Lyon or Barcelona? Lyon, like you said, they've had to dig it out. Oh, I think I'm torn between Lyon or Barca, and I think both have won it on multiple occasions. So just to be devil's advocate, I'm going to go Lyon. I think it's going to be a Barca-Lyon final, and I'm going to wager Lyon just to be devil's advocate against Barca.
Right, let's get back to the FA Cup and the other quarter-final. Your Spurs side, Beth, against Chelsea, finishing 2-1 in the end. Once again, not the calmest of viewing experiences for me as a Chelsea fan. You guys had some good chances. Thought maybe you were even going to nick it at some point, but Chelsea did what Chelsea do. They got the job done, but tiny margins, wasn't it?
Yes, this podcast is getting harder every week to talk about, I'll be honest.
Use it as a therapy.
It's just so heartbreaking because we put so much effort into the game, and I know it's easy to say, but like, Berman putting that rocket in, my heart just sank because we were fighting and fighting and fighting. And I did think like 20 minutes towards the end, like we were getting in control. We were getting, I can't even sit here and say the better of the chances, but we had more controlled possession. We were starting to create more, get in their face a bit more, get a bit higher in the press, like nullify them a little bit more. They obviously had some wasted opportunities. Obviously, Ellie Carpenter had a header at the back post, which, well, I mean, she should have scored. There was a couple of crosses. Neve put in some phenomenal balls, a couple of crosses that flashed across the goal. No one got on the end of.
And good block against you as well from Neve.
Yeah, Neve made a great block against me. Obviously, I had my shot, which at the time I thought looked like Berman's goal, but actually just floated into Hannah's hands. And then obviously you've got Katinka's chance at the very end. If we can get it on target or like force a save, maybe for a rebound, like big opportunities. I think we defended for our lives at points, and I thought we did. Like, to be honest, like in the first half, trying to chase Lauren round was again very long. I feel like she was popping up again everywhere, putting balls in. Obviously, there's the one ball she put in that Lisa made a great save, one at the post. Like it was just, I guess, for a neutral, a very end-to-end game, but being involved in it, Lord, the amount of running. Because you've not only, like for me as in a front two, I'm not only dealing with Khadija, Buchanan and Germa. I've also got Kira dropping down to create a back three. I've got Erin coming down on my right shoulder, sitting just off my shoulder in front of our 6 and 8s. Then you've got Nuskan dropping off the other shoulder, and then Hannah stepping in like another. It felt like a 6v2 at times, and I'm just like, we can't get any pressure on the ball, and that's what they're so good at, is moving people around, the fluidity, creating space for one another. I felt like we actually did an all right job at limiting their crosses more in this game to an extent. Obviously, I know Sam's goal came from a cross. It's just so disappointing, and I think if we could have hung on any longer, could the result have been different? Maybe. If depending on, we probably would have needed fresh legs. I think we were dying out towards the last 10 minutes. But did we create enough big chances compared to what they did? Probably not. Like, I'm realistic about it. We had chances, but were they clear-cut ones like what they had? No. Were we able to get in positions to get good crosses in the box? We having 2 strikers? No, we didn't really hardly get any crosses. There might have been the last one towards the end when Ella Morris put a ball in, and it's kind of half-arsed, like, had an attempt. It's just heartbreaking. Like, I think it would have been amazing to try and push to get Spurs back into another final. Obviously, we started the season well in the league. Obviously, had some tough results, so we're not picking up as many points at the minute as we'd have liked to. And I think to give back to the fans another opportunity to potentially get through the semi-final, then to Wembley. Obviously, I know if we'd have won, we'd have drawn City. So it's kind of like, which one do you want? But yeah, it was a tough day, but really proud of the girls. And although it's like away from obviously the result, the biggest win for me was seeing Ella Morris back on the pitch. Amazing girl that's worked so hard over the past year to get herself back from her ACL. So just to even have her on the pitch again was amazing. And we gave everything we could, but we just fell short. It's all out now. It's done.
Good job. A little bit lighter, do you?
Yeah. I'm just sorry that we didn't get them further to the fans. Or we could have potentially have met Fran in the semis.
A moment for Birmingham, a special player and an amazing story as well. I was reading more about her earlier. Less than 3 years ago, she was still playing with a boys team whilst also kind of working part-time in the canteen at that club. And look at her now, scoring the winning goal to send Chelsea to the FA Cup semi-final at 19 years old. Like, what we've seen of her this season, she's quite the player, isn't she?
You know what? She doesn't play like she's 19. And I think that's the biggest thing, her maturity and her performances. Now, I said it on the commentary before we went out. She, for me, is the first name on the team sheet for Chelsea at the moment. With the performances that I know she didn't start the game, but, you know, that's what I see when I watch her. And I think a lot of the times now you see managers talking about young players and talking about like they need to learn, they need to grow, they need to do all these things. She's already there. She is already there. Like, there's still, of course, there are things that she needs to work on in her performances. I would like to see her become a little bit more vocal in the team as well, because she's playing consistently. She's 19 years old. It's going to come as she comes out of her shell, as she plays more, her confidence will build. And I think Chelsea have got a really, really special player there if they are able to keep hold of her. Because as well, you know, there's going to be other clubs that are sniffing around her as well. And be able to help her grow and mature her performance more and more. But I was stood literally right. So I'm stood here. The shot is here. And I just see it go off her left foot. And as soon as it hit her left foot, I knew it was going in. you know that it's going in. When a player hits the ball that pure, and you can see the ball goes up. So it makes it impossible for the goalkeeper to even remotely kind of gauge where they need to put their hands or where they go, because it's just always going in an upward motion. It didn't just stay in one line. And yeah, it was a fantastic finish. And for me, when I watch her play, she just doesn't come across like she's 19 years old. I think now with the young players, you can see kind of their immaturity in the way that they play. They're very rash. Everything's done at 100 miles an hour because they're still trying to learn that composure piece. They're still trying to learn where, the tactical elements are, what they're doing in certain situations. But for me, she just looks like she looks like she understands football. And that for me is a massive starting point for a player coming through, as someone who understands the game, understands tactics, and understands their role. And her role, she is pinning it down to a T at the moment.
Yeah, she's smashing it. And I was just so delighted for her to finally get her first Chelsea goal. Obviously, that other one chalked off in the first leg of the Champions League, but what a way to help your club. Incredible stuff. So next up, FA Cup wise, Chelsea take on City, which I'm expecting to be a very, very close game. And it's Brighton versus Liverpool. How are you feeling about that, Fran? Are you already thinking about living that Wembley dream? Are you feeling confident?
I mean, I was saying the whole day afterwards, I said, we're going to get City away. Like, it's written in the stars that we're going to get City away. So, I mean, look, of course you want to avoid the top 4 teams. Like, that's what you want to avoid. We all know that. Liverpool know that as well. When the draw came through. But, today I went into the girls and we were chatting about it. And I was like, look, we have to approach this like we're playing Arsenal again. Like that's how we have to approach this game. That's how we have to approach every game. We've got a tough week going into that week as well. We've got City at home, United away, Arsenal at home midweek, Liverpool away semi-final. So, it's a tough 2 weeks for us going into that game. So I am going to make it very clear to everyone. I mean, I don't have to do it. Everyone knows this anyway, but you do need someone in the room kind of just bringing you back to it, in terms of, just because we won against Arsenal does not mean that we have a given right that we're going to win against Liverpool. And we have to turn up every single day. Every single day we have to turn up like it's a Wembley final, whether it's training, whether it's a game. And, it's an amazing opportunity. But it would have been an amazing opportunity no matter who we got, because it's a semi-final and anything can happen in an FA Cup semi-final. So, I mean, if I'm looking at it, yes, of course, I'm glad that we avoided Chelsea and City, because, the qualities that they do have. But I'm completely not underestimating where this Liverpool side are, what their strengths are, what they're doing, and also the confidence that they will have as well, given the fact that they started the season very poorly. They've picked it back up and now they're in a semi-final in FA Cup. So, we have to be really, really on it from minute 1 to minute 19, minute 120, whatever it is, to get ourselves through that. And I say to the girls, and Beth, you'll agree with me, the FA Cup day, from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, whether you win, whether you lose, it's like the best day of your life as a career, in your football career. Just everything about it. Playing at Wembley, playing in front of a massive amount of fans. The whole day is just so, so special. If I was to be able to have that again as a player with Brighton, it would be kind of like the cherry on top. I think, I've achieved so many amazing things in my career, won so many trophies, been a part of so many amazing teams. But I think to do that, I think for me, that is what excites me now every day that I wake up. And I haven't had that for a long time, I don't think, in terms of that actual kind of, I've always been competitive, always wanted to win every single game. Whereas now I'm I have a goal to work towards. That is my goal, is to get to a Wembley FA Cup final. So I wouldn't say confidence is the word, but I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, of course. Wembley's what it's all about, isn't it? The Wembley dream. I've also been enjoying all the throwbacks of Fran Kirby at the FA Cup over the years. I mean, you've had some hairstyles, my friend.
When she was growing her hair out, that was my favourite. That was my absolute favourite.
I actually got tagged in something. It was like, women's football has grown like Fran Kirby's hair has.
Oh, jokes.
The stages of women's football have gone. I remember at one point I had about 12 little ponytails
Bubbles,
in my hair, trying to fit it all in and and I remember the day that I finally got it all back together as one. It was like one of the best days of my life. Don't have to have braids anymore. But to be honest, I get a lot of stick for that hairstyle, but I think it was very in trend. at the time when I had it. And I actually did really enjoy styling it when we go on a night out. But I mean, I wouldn't have it back now. No.
Keeps growing it out. And she's like, no, we're not going back there.
Then I didn't get it cut for about 8 years. So then I
um,
had to go desperately to the hairdresser to get it all sorted out.
It was of its time. I loved it.
England v Spain. How's it going to go?
Ooh.
England 2-0. Boom.
England 2-1.
England 3-0.
Wow.
No, I'm delusional. I think it'll be England 1-0. I'm just trying to make myself feel more confident. Yeah, that's going to be a tough game, isn't it? Everyone else, let us know your predictions as well in the comments, and we'll debrief, of course, after the game when we are back on the pod. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.